Good. We're already live too, by the way.
Oh, well, good. Then, well, behind the scenes, welcome everybody to the show known as Hump Day Hangouts, where we outlast Google Hangouts, and we'll explain a little bit about that. But first, I want to introduce everybody and let you know you're in the right place for getting your questions answered. We appreciate you joining us on episode 247. Today is the last day of July 2019. And let's just go down and say hi to everybody real quick, and before we get into it, and we got a few exciting announcements. So, Chris, how you doing today?
Doing good. Sunny here, even it's dark already. But yeah, weather is holding up pretty good.
Nice. All right.
Can't complain.
Good deal. Hernan, how about you? How's let's see, we're in the middle of summer. How's winter going for you?
It sucks, dude. It's winter. It sucks. No, no, it's good, man. It's good. Nice day today. So I get to, I get to rock the OG. So yeah, good. I'm good. I'm excited for POFU Live. It's coming. It's gonna be there. It's gonna be awesome. So I'm excited about that.
Cough, cough. Go to populive.com. Get your ticket today. Okay, I don't know who said that, but Marco, how about you? How you doing, man?
Position of POFU, right? Or POFU, however you want to call it. That's where you want to be. And this is how you start, by the way. Coming in here and asking us questions and then going out and verifying. Don't just take somebody's word for it just because they have a title, just because they work for a big company or whatever. Guys, don't fall for that. Because there's a lot of misinformation on the web. I see it, I mean, now on just almost, if I were in that whatever timeline in Google, it would be a minute by minute feed of misinformation about SEO. And you're doing yourself a disservice if you pay attention to all the bullshit that you're being fed. Come here, ask your questions, and then don't take our word for it. Verify it, test it. We've already done it, so we're very confident in what we have to say and what we have to offer. But by all means, please go test. And if we're wrong, come back and let us know. We've yet to have someone come and tell us, look, I went and tested and you're wrong. So please, prove me wrong.
But we've had people come and tell us that you're wrong. They didn't say we've gone and tested and you're wrong. We have people tell us that we're wrong. So, by the way, hi, everybody.
Yeah, moving on down. Bradley, how you doing? Yeah, I was going to mention a video we all were laughing about yesterday, but I'm not going to tell people who that was or do anything like that. But yeah, there was a funny moment. Somebody had put out a video about a certain technique not working, and it's something that's worked for a while and is going strong. So
just let them do it the old hard way with PBNs and stuff.
Yeah.
And have fun.
Well, Bradley, how you doing, man? I think you've got a storm brewing literally there, don't you?
I do. And 2 weeks ago, I think it was 2 weeks ago when I got cut off at like 23 minutes in because of an electrical storm, and it's looking pretty bad out there. So hopefully I'll be able to make it through the whole hour, but we'll see if I drop out. You guys will have to
we'll keep this one pretty short then. I just got a few announcements I want to get through, and then we will jump into the questions. It's like last time, we can't guarantee that it'll stay up. And what I was alluding to in the introduction, I may have misspoken. Bradley, it's not Hangouts that's going away, right? It's
Hangouts on Air is going away. Okay. So now it's called Google Webcam or some shit. And I don't know. I have not even attempted. Today's the last day of Google Hangouts on Air. So,
but Bradley, does this mean that Hump Day Hangouts are gone forever?
Today's the last day of Hump Day Hangouts.
We're killing it. It's all over.
Bye, guys. It's a pleasure.
No, but we're just a few weeks shy of our fourth year anniversary, because we started in October of 2015. So actually it'll be 5 years.
Yeah, it's 5 years. It was
holy shit. It was October. It must have been October 2014 then.
Yep.
Wow. I'll be damned. Yeah, because we're gonna be at I think episode 260 would be our fifth year anniversary. So we're approaching that. Anyways, we have as Adam said, we have outlasted Google Hangouts apparently, because Hangouts on Air is going away. They're calling it now Google Webcam or something, and you have to fire it up or initiate it a different way, which I have not learned. However, we can use Zoom, which we've been using internally for a lot of stuff, and you can actually get a live stream key and pipe it directly into YouTube using the live stream key. So that's probably how we're going to end up doing it. So the format of the video itself may change a little bit, guys, but it's still going to be right here on semanticmastery.com/HD questions is where you can watch the live one, and it will be streamed into our YouTube channel, so you'll still see it there as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So
It'll
does
be
that mean we can reveal more secrets now? That Google is not listening anymore?
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
if we're piping it into YouTube, they're still listening.
Ah, damn it.
Yeah, but yeah, if you're watching this, it'll be transparent to you. Don't worry about it. We just figured we'd give you a heads up too, in case you're using it regularly. Just know that there's some changes coming down. But for watching it, nothing's really going to change. We're just going to put a different video on the page, and it'll still be on the YouTube channel. So if you are new to Semantic Mastery, this is your first time joining us. Thank you, first of all, for watching wherever you are. If you're at semanticmastery.com/HD questions, or if you're watching on YouTube. Just ask that if you want to get your questions answered, make sure you go to semanticmastery.com/HD questions. That is where we monitor for questions, and you can ask them ahead of time. And then, if you can, join us live. If you can't, we understand. You can always catch the replay on YouTube and see what the question, or rather the answer was to your question. As far as the next step, the question we always get is, what should I do? You guys put out a lot of training. You've got a lot of videos. Then, watch the videos, of course, get the answers you need, come to Hump Day Hangouts, and then grab the battle plan. All right, go to battleplan.semanticmastery.com. You can find out a lot more about that there. And if you're ready to really take things up a notch, whether you've got a digital marketing agency, you want to start one, you're a business owner that really wants to take things up to the next level, go to mastermind.semanticmastery.com, find out more about that there. And if you ever have any questions about that, you can ping us, you can ask about it in Hump Day Hangouts here, and we'll be happy, of course, to talk about that. If you're more the done-for-you type and you want to get stuff done for you, go to mgyb.co. Great way to leverage it for clients or yourself, your own projects. For premium done-for-you SEO and marketing services, stuff like links, embeds, syndication networks, RYS drive stacks, all sorts of other stuff as well. That's just the tip of the iceberg. There's more coming out. I think Rob is actually bringing on some beta testers today for a new service. And then, of course, subscribe on YouTube. Whether you're watching this live right now or you're catching it on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, stay up to date with these, and then all of the, I'm going to be humble and say, kick-ass content that we put out. I think you should definitely subscribe. So other than that, you guys, is there anything else? I wanted to talk real quick about POFU Live, but is there anything else we need to tell people about?
No, I'm
good.
No. All right. So real quick, I want to tell everyone, if you are interested in joining us in October, it's October 11th, 12th, and 13th. If you join with the VIP event, which I highly recommend you do, we priced it so it makes sense. Go over to pofulive.com. We really want people who are interested in really hands-on learning as well as networking, covering a wide range of material to join us this year in Denver for our second year in a row of POFU Live. I'm not going to run it down. Go check it out at pofulive.com and see if you think that this would be a good fit for you. Again, we're really looking for people who are definitely the action takers, who want to meet others who are doing some kick-ass stuff and learning from not only us, but each other, as well as guest speakers. We've got Jeffrey Smith coming, and we've also got Adam Bensman, a copywriter, coming. Rob will be joining us, and I'm going to force him to get up in front of people and say a few words, but just the amount of networking, what you're going to learn from each other and what we're going to be able to share with you is going to be invaluable. Everyone we talked to last year, really had a great time. They learned a lot from it. They learned a lot from each other. So just head over to pofulive.com, check out the videos from the people who attended last year. I think they say it better than we ever possibly could. But on that note, does anybody want to add to that about POFU Live?
Yeah, I wanted to add that one of the best things that POFU Live had, in my opinion, was the fact that we were all there and we were all networking with each other, and a lot of a decent amount of businesses were born or were like created during POFU Live. And it happens, right? When you put together 20, 30, 50 people that are focused in making it happen, that are focused on getting better clients, getting more clients, that are focused on growing their own assets, it's like magic happens. So and something else that I found out is that I have a visitor here. So something else that I found out is that
I got so many jokes I could say right now.
Yeah. So what you motherfuckers, I lost my train of thought. No, but yeah, what I was about to say is that the reality is that I've had the honor to work with super successful people, and one of the common traits that they have is that they network, right? They get together with other people, other successful people that push them to be better and push them and make them focus and whatnot. So I think that's one of the best things that POFU has to offer. So yeah, hope you guys be there. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, and just real quick, I want to add to this because this was my own personal bias. So for anyone out there who's a little bit like me, I used to hear networking and think like MLM or, people being, crappy and just, rubbing elbows to meet people and stuff like that. And one, that's not what we're about. And two, that isn't what that means. And so I just bring this up because that was kind of my own thing several years back. I avoided stuff. I avoided going out to groups like this. And then now realize, wow, okay, like having a mastermind, being a part of a group, doing these events a couple times a year, our own, as well as going to other people, just really helps accelerate things. Making those connections, learning from people who know more than you, and helping other people in the same fashion just really helps accelerate.
What about all the pitching we're going to do from stage to make sure that everybody's buying all our shit?
Yes, exactly. Non-stop pitch fest. It's great. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, no pitches, nothing. Yeah. Obviously, we have more training, but if you can ask us about that. Our guest speakers do not pitch. It's about content. It's about learning.
It's a training event. It is not a pitch fest. I've been to too many of those in various industries, but in internet marketing, one of them, where you go thinking it's going to be a weekend where you're going to get some training, and it's like very, very short on training, but long on pitching. You know what I mean? And that's that's not our style. So
definitely. Well, all right, guys, let's get into it before Bradley's power.
Before I get cut off from the
no more small talk.
Let me grab the screen. Okay, it looks like Brian is up first. He says, I just bought Syndication Networks and RYS Stacks for 3 clients. First time using the service. I've been through Syndication Academy, so familiar, but wondering, should I get the Syndication Network set up in full first so I can give all the properties to build the RYS Stacks? Yes. Short answer, yes. And what are best practices for providing the best links, content, data, etc. for getting Syndication Networks and RYS Stacks set up? These clients have websites, GMB, some Web 2.0 properties and content. I see the forms to fill out to get them going, but just asking your advice to optimize the setup and then how to self-manage and add value afterwards using the RYS instruct guide that comes with it. Thanks. Okay, so yes, absolutely. I recommend getting the Syndication Network first, as we talk about in the battle plan. That is the process. Our step-by-step procedure is to start with the Syndication Network. That's always the first thing that we do. Once that has been delivered, then you order our drive stack. That way you can include your Syndication Network properties. As far as what to include in the orders for a Syndication Network, really all you need is a logo, your primary URL, your money site URL, or if it's for a YouTube video, it'll be, a YouTube channel, then it'll be that. But you want to provide an RSS feed too. Something else. A few people have asked recently that have the Press Advantage, their own subscription, or that have been doing Press Advantage, press releases through MGYB, that when we set up an organization page for you, or if you have your own, like I said, your own subscription and you're managing your own accounts, then they also have an RSS feed. And that's something that you can include and have, applets created for your Syndication Network also. And that's something that's very, very powerful, so that you can syndicate those press releases. So keep that in mind, guys. That's a feature available in MGYB, for the Syndication Networks. But definitely get those first. Provide the logo, the money site URL. Just fill out the form and give it what it's asking for. As far as content, you don't need any content. The content is going to come from your blog when you're posting or publishing content to your blog. It's going to get syndicated to the network. For your drive stacks, I'll let Marco talk on this briefly too. But for drive stacks, you don't need any content either. You just need basically a handful of your money site keywords, your primary keywords, product and or service keywords, and then we do everything else. Marco, can you talk about that?
Yeah, well, with keywords, it depends on whether they order one of our keyword gigs first, right? Or if they're going to provide us with the keywords. Mm-hmm. So that's a depend scenario. As with anything, that's a depends, right? How much information you want in there. We do collect information, as you saw from the contact form, but I mean our VAs are trained to go out and look for relevant content, because when it comes to an RYS, a drive stack and a gsite, it doesn't matter. We actually want to mirror your money site, so whatever's on your money site, you want that on the drive stack to push relevance from drive and the gsite over to your website. That's all we're concerned with. Sometimes the gsite will rank, so we do try to make it as good as look as good as possible. But I mean, I don't see anything that you necessarily have to do with the RYS stack except provide the information that we request or order it from us. And yes, by all means, submit your T1 branded as part of the URLs that you want to push relevance to, because that really helps. And then when you do link building, it really helps to have that spread throughout the drive stack.
Very good. Next question is from Dave. He says, is it a good idea to have 4 pages on your website dedicated to one city and a county? Then each page would be, for example, plumber plus city, or 24-hour plumber plus city, or emergency plumber plus city, after-hour plumbers plus city. Then repeat the same with the next city or county. I'm going to say no. I would like to get everyone else's input as well, but I don't recommend that. Years ago, yes, but now I think you're better off optimizing one page, because those are all very similar. So optimizing one page just has, separate, basically content sections or headings with it, where you can optimize for each one of those sections. You might have a paragraph or 2 about each one of those types of plumbing services on the same page. However, what I would recommend you do is create a category for that, and so essentially you're going to create a silo for that particular city. And then that way if you find that you need additional, which you likely will, you'll probably need some additional content to help to push that page, right? And for SEO purposes. Then if you have a category set up for that same city, plumbing, plumber, city plumber, or however you want to set up the category, you can publish blog posts within that category. Like, in other words, you can publish blog posts and place them in that category, and then use silo linking structure to be able to boost that page, if that makes sense. But instead of having 4 pages that would likely be thin on content or very close to being almost duplicate content for each page, I think you're better off just optimizing one longer page for all of those terms for that particular city, then creating a category for it. You could even redirect the category URL to that page itself. But that way, whenever you're publishing blog posts, you can place them into that category and then use the internal linking with proper, silo linking strategy to link back to that page and get a boost from it that way, especially when they're syndicating through a syndication network. So, Mark, what say you? And how would you do it?
I 100% agree. One page with all the information on it, because it's all relevant. And it doesn't have to, we used to target it that way, 1 page per keyword, but that's no longer necessary. So we give the bot all of the information on 1 page. What I do also recommend is skip navigation links. And what that happens is that then it helps RankBrain divide up your content so that you could actually rank with your skip navigation links and your excerpt for that, what that skip navigation link or that question. And this is especially true of frequently asked questions. But let me just try to stay on this subject here. Skip navigation so that Google can pick out what's relevant and what it'll rank. It will sometimes and often pick out the question and answer, or the service, and then the explanation about the service and excerpt, and actually put that in the SERPs, since you've used skip navigation to guide the user to the best fit for the query. So yes, totally what you said, plus don't leave out skip navigation to guide the user experience.
Yeah, and you can even use, go ahead, Hernan.
No, yeah, I was about to say that with Google at this point in time, you don't need to, you can just like have more content and mark it up properly, and you should be on a good spot, because the same page could rank for, it will rank for hundreds and sometimes thousands of keywords, So yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, and with those skip links or those jump links, whatever you want to call them, you can actually link those like from the blog post. If you're doing blog posts for additional content to kind of give that category and page a push, you can actually link with those within the post directly to those hop links, which would go directly to that section on the page. So that's how you can optimize within the silo for that. So it's very, very powerful. And remember, all that gets syndicated through your syndication network. So okay, well, thanks for refreshing when I didn't ask you to. All right, so the next question is from Gordon. What's up, Gordon? He says, hey, guys, thank you very much again for these extremely helpful hump days. It's really appreciated. You're welcome as always, Gordon. He says, I know you said previously that it is super difficult to rank a local niche. I thought we've answered this multiple times, but let me finish reading it, I guess. Local niche lead gen site organically because of the heavy presence of directory type sites on the first page of the Google search results. But if someone wanted to try rank a local lead gen site organically for a small, less competitive location, I was wondering how much of a site ranking factor having a relative GMB listing was, if at all, and whether you can actually just ignore setting one up and still rank without any increase in the degree of site ranking difficulty. Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned before, you can, as you, if you're in a suburb area, for example, so out of the broader geographic term that most people would be optimizing for, right? So if you're targeting a geographic modifier or a local modifier type term that is not very competitive at all, then yes, you stand a much better chance of ranking organically. And as we've said before, you can do it without having a GMB. We, for a long time, for about a year steady, we pushed the GMBs very hard because we were, it was so easy to get them, and you could get them in each location that you wanted to rank. But for what you're trying to do, I would say no. You're not gonna, if you're not going to try to spam a GMB into the, then yes, you can try. You can just set up a page on a site, for example, or a standalone site for that particular area. I would, and I'm sure Marco would agree, or everyone would agree, that I think you're better off creating a brand and then building authority through that particular brand domain that may cover multiple areas, even organically, even if you're not trying to rank with a GMB, in the map section. Because what happens is over time, your site will grow, will gain authority, right? Will accrue authority, which will make it easier over time to rank in new areas when you want to optimize for new locations, as opposed to setting up like individual sites for each location, which is kind of the GMB strategy, but we're talking about organic ranking now. So you really want to accrue that authority, and it has a cumulative effect from all the other work that you're going to be doing, so that each time, and here's an example, for a lot of the lead gen stuff that I do, I've created multiple subdomain WordPress sites for, so what happens is each new location would get a new subdomain, and then I would install a new WordPress site that was typically usually just a one-page website. Well, maybe a couple pages like contact form and things like that. But what would happen is after like the 5th or 6th subdomain, then each time I would go into a new area and I'd add a new subdomain for a new location, it would rank so much quicker than what it took to get the first few ranked, if that makes sense, because it was benefiting from all the authority that accrued across the entire root domain, as well as all of its what I call sibling subdomains, if that makes sense. So you can accomplish that same thing whether you're using subdomains or not. You could be doing it just through a domain and with inner pages for that matter. So, I mean, initially it may be a bit difficult, but if you're starting with a low competition area, yeah, you stand a really good chance, because a lot of the directory style sites are not going to be targeting on a more granular location level. So again, I say it is absolutely possible without a GMB. Guys, input, please.
It's possible, but when you're talking about local and something that triggers a 3-pack, something that triggers the map, you're going up against proximity, right? And so what you're trying to do is push so much power, so much relevance and authority that you override that proximity factor that's triggering that map. You're trying to get your brand to be so related to the location and to the keyword set, to the niche, that it actually overrides proximity and creates a knowledge panel rather than the 3-pack. Now, the problem that I run into time and again, if I'm going to push that much power, it's going to take a whole lot of money. It's a whole lot of money that most local people don't have to give you if you're doing clients, and it's a lot more money than I care to spend in a particular niche in a location, in something that's location specific, unless it's a really high ticket item that I might be after, that I know that if I'm doing dental, for example, I know that cosmetic dentistry, or maybe what do you call it, a face reconstruction surgery, right? And not just getting your face redone or whatever, but reconstruction surgery where they actually have to go in there and work on the bone or whatever. That's a lot of money also. So that's worth my time. You have to weigh how much you can make from it, and what you'll have to spend to be able to make that, and how much time this is all going to require. Overriding that proximity factor is not a joke. It can be done, but you have to override that. You have to somehow overcome that, because what Google is going to push to that person looking at that particular IP is something related to that IP. And how do you overcome that?
Yeah, I just want to add real quick. I love what Marco just said. The fact that when you're approaching this type of whether you're working for a client or you're launching your own project, which you very might well do, the reality is that you need to. It's like any investment, right? There's the risk reward ratio, or the the money and the time that you need to put in a project before it becomes profitable. And sometimes we wanna send a nuke, or we wanna nuke the entire search engine, and we spend a lot of money and we spend a lot of time for a project that might not be profitable. So if you're going after injury attorney, or if you're going after, like as what Marco was saying, cosmetic dentistry, right? Those are niches that might require you to have a nuke, right? To nuke it down, like to actually go all in, and it might take you maybe a year to see results, right? But then when you're going after some other niches where the cash flow is not there, or maybe the money's not there, that's why I like to work with high ticket potential clients, or high ticket items like pool installation or pond installation or landscaping, that high ticket type stuff that will make sense when it comes to using these type of techniques that Marco was saying, which do take time and money. So makes total sense. I love that.
Anyone else? Right. So Gordon comes up again with, by the way, I recently read an article that said that the reason that the local directory sites take up a large percentage of any particular local Google search result is that 95% of the local businesses in that area have such low SEO signals that Google deems it more appropriate to rank the directories ahead of them. The article said that such situations were actually indicative of it being easier for you to rank a website for that particular niche and location. Can this theory be at all possible and have any merit whatsoever? Well, I'm again, it's going to vary. It's going to depend on the query and the location, because I can tell you for a fact, knowing that because I've battled in local space for a long, long time, that is not the case for a lot of the areas that are more competitive. The reason that the directories rank so well is because they spend a lot of effort to get them to rank, and they're benefiting off their inherent authority from being a large authoritative site, which is what we were talking about in the previous question, which is why we recommend that you're going to build a brand that will start to gain or accrue authority for that very reason. So my point is, and I always use this example, but like Fairfax, Virginia, like Plumber Fairfax, for example, that's the one that I've shown multiple times through these Hump Day Hangouts, and it shows that there's only 2 or 3 brands in the search results for that keyword. The rest are all directory pages. And it's not because those brands aren't spending a shit ton of money on SEO. Trust me, they are. And it's not that there's not other people competing. And that's why all of, Yelp and Home Advisor and Angie's List and all of them are ranking. It's because those directories have put forth a lot of effort to show up there, because they know there's a lot of traffic. So I'm calling that bullshit. Or I should say, I should qualify that with, it depends on the area. If you're talking about a lower competition where there's not a lot of people competing for particular keywords plus your location modifier, the locations that you're targeting, then yeah, that very well could be that the directories are just ranking there because there's not very many people competing. But in the more more competitive areas, which is you can usually just, and I don't usually recommend using the Google AdWords or Ads keyword planner tool for SEO research. However, you can determine where people are competing by looking at the search query numbers, the search volume numbers within the Google Ads keyword planner, because people that are bidding for keywords and paying for AdWords, that you'll see that in the keyword planner, because you'll see what the average cost per click is, and you'll see high numbers and things like that, and also high volume, high numbers as far as the cost per click, but also perhaps high numbers in search volume, which means there's demand there. And there are people competing in that space, both for ad space or ad exposure, as well as for SEO. So you can use that data to determine which areas are. If you go look in the keyword planner, for example, for plumber plus a location, and it shows very little or no search volume, and which means there's probably nobody bidding on keywords there, then yes, that's an area you could probably rank for fairly easily with organic SEO, because it means it's not very competitive. But if you go look at like Plumber Fairfax, for example, Fairfax, VA, or Virginia, or something like that, Fairfax Plumber, something like that, any one of the variations thereof, you'll see that it's got high search volume and it's got high cost per click numbers, values, high cost per click values. And that's because it's a very competitive area. So again, those directory sites know that. And that's why they're working on, actively or proactively working on ranking on that first page of Google, because they know they'll get a lot of traffic from it. Any other comments on that, guys? Marco, I know how you love articles about SEO.
Oh, dude, how'd they get that 95% plus number?
Yeah.
Did they go to every local niche and go through every possible keyword in the niche? And how did they measure whether it would be easy or difficult? Did they try to actually rank in these? Because we do go after very difficult competitive niches in competitive areas. Can you type in something that you're not logged in, please? Plumber in DC, or DC plumber. Because we went after that 2 years ago when we were right around this time, as a matter of fact, a little bit before, when we were doing RYS Academy Reloaded, and we're in the 3-pack,
ladies and gentlemen.
We're in the 3-pack. Number 1, Plumber in DC. Number 2, and then if you go,
this was 2 years ago.
Yeah, nothing has been done in 2 years, and if you look at it,
that clearly doesn't work.
No, our shit doesn't work. Remember that. Drive stacks don't work, but you'll see that the gsite is ranking in there, and Plumber in DC organically. There's 3 of those that you mentioned, right? The what do you call it? The directory type sites, and then some under it are also
Yelp, Angie's List, and Home Advisor are the 3 number 1 the first 3 organic listings, guys. Do you think it's because nobody's competing for plumber DC for DC plumber keywords, or do you think it's because they're highly authoritative and they're actively trying to rank organically here? Think about it. That's my point. Marco, Marco is talking about how using RYS tactics has been able to get this brand, which to rank as well, both in the maps pack, but just organically down here, 2 sites, the branded domain as well as the Google site. But that's what I'm saying. The top 3 are actually those directory style sites, and it's not because this is not competitive. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
we should rename. We should name RYS Academy the Freedom Tool, or something like that. Because if you think about it, like Yelp, Angie's List, and Home Advisor, they all have their own marketing team. Those are like teams of people, and probably they have 2 or 3 people dedicated to SEO alone.
And big budget.
Yeah, with big fucking budget. So they're spending millions of dollars every year, not only in advertising, but also in SEO. I know this because I've witnessed how people, they will hire like 2 or 3 in-house SEOs working 8 hours every day. And then you go in with a 100 times lower budget, 100 times less the amount of people, right? Because it's usually your own with a VA. And then you sneak in under those 3 behemoths of a website. So that's one thing that RYS Academy should be renamed to the Freedom Tool or whatever.
This cost us this test was $500.
Yeah,
it was a test, and there we are.
It ain't work.
2 years. No, this doesn't work. By the way, they'll tell you that RYS stacks, dry stacks don't work. But anyway, I just wanted to show that you have to push that kind of power to beat these people. I'd be wary of anyone pushing those kinds of numbers unless they can back them up with the test that they did. And I'd be careful going into a non-competitive area if you're planning to make a whole lot of money, or just try to rank in a whole lot of low competition areas so that you can get a few leads coming in. If these people aren't investing in these low competition areas, it's likely because there's very little money to be made.
That's true.
In there, but you can still make money by outranking them in these less competitive areas, except you do a whole lot of them so that it makes sense to whatever it is that you're trying to do, whether it's provide leads for the client or sell the leads yourself.
Yep. All right, so Marco, you had posted this link to this question here, so I'm going to just hand this one over to you.
Yeah, this question always comes up, and I just wanted to answer it. It's a new person. I understand that you guys also come in from other groups where they're still using these metrics. And he says that he's trying to rank for national keywords. Will ordering multiple syndication networks as well as drive stacks plus gsite be good enough to give me decent trust flow and domain authority? Or will I have to use other link building tactics? Here's the deal on why I wanted to answer this. I can't tell you whether it's going to give you trust flow and domain authority, nor do I care whether it gives me trust flow and domain authority, because I can push what I call art and the art of art, which is activity, relevance, trust, and authority, into my stream, as you just saw in DC Plumber. And people are doing this nationally with affiliates, with all kinds of different projects. And we're doing this also with what Bradley is now teaching and what he's in. We're going to push a national brand into this and take that guy on that's dominating the space. Now, my point in answering this is I don't care. Trust flow is a majestic metric. Domain authority is a Moz metric. Domain rank, I think it is an Ahrefs. None of them know. Okay, we know there's over 200 ranking factors. We don't know how they're weighted. We don't know how much importance Google gives to each one, so that the final piece of the puzzle is your ranking score. It's the ranking score algorithm. It's the ranking score patent. That's what you're after. That's the holy grail. Nobody can approximate that because nobody knows the weight that each one has. What we can do is push, as I call it, the art of art. And yes, I'm taking from Sun Tzu and the Art of War, of course, but activity, relevance, trust, and authority, so that I become so trusted and so authoritative in the niche that RankBrain is forced to find a place for me in the rankings. That's how we do it. That's the way that we do SEO. It's not the only way, but it's one of the correct ways to push away, to kind of beat people up and move them out of the way in the rankings. To me, it's the only way. It's either that or compete with the $1 million companies. And unless you have $1 million pockets, you can forget it. You can go and do it that way, look for $1 million pockets, or do it our way, which is pushing the art of art. So I hope that answers your question fully. And if it doesn't, please come back to the Facebook group and we can go further into this, because I find this really interesting. And we try to push people away from third-party metrics that are simply selling their metric. And it doesn't really apply in most, it has to be really high in order for it to make a difference in these highly competitive spaces.
Yeah. Remember how we had some case studies of manipulating, I should say, domain authority, like big time, with thousands of subdomains, and trust flow also was easily manipulated. It didn't correlate though to the the traffic or the visitors that those websites have. Because so for instance, the traffic and the domain authority school of thought comes from buying PBNs, right? And if that was the case, then you would be buying websites with a lot of traffic, but usually you wouldn't, right? You will buy a domain just because of their metrics, which is fine, right? It's a school of thought, but we were able to manipulate. We took, I don't know, domain authority up to 90, or trust flow up to 70 and 80, using like safe links and all that shit. And I remember that, it was pretty easy to manipulate, but it didn't correlate with sales, with visitors, hits, and sales, which is what we're going after. So I think that makes a lot of sense. And also, if you guys wanna join the Facebook group, it's free. It's called if you go to facebook.com and if you search for SEO and marketing by Semantic Mastery, you will be able to join the group. You just need to answer a couple questions, and then you will be able to join the group. It's free.
Beautiful. All right, so next one. Let's see. This is a good question. He said, just from Jason, he says, "Hey guys, loving your Hangouts. Thanks so much, but I'm a bit worried. Is local SEO dead now? In the previous Hump Days, you said to stay out of the GMB, and even clients' GMBs are too risky to edit now, and that organic rankings are mostly just all directory sites now. So if we can't confidently approach a client and offer to edit and optimize their GMB to rank it, and can't rank their own site either, because it's only directory sites ranking, what is there left to do? What are we supposed to sell them? Just PPC services? If so, can the battle plan help me with that? Thanks." Okay, so unfortunately, I guess what I said the other day was taken a bit out of context when I said that, because what I mean, in part it was, or maybe it was misunderstood, or maybe I said it wrong. Okay, but to clarify, no, local SEO is not dead, not at all, far from it. But what I was saying was, yes, right now GMBs are a bit risky to optimize, to do anything on page with. Even valid businesses are getting, getting chopped or suspended by Google because of like actual valid changes. So I just say, be wary of that. Be aware that could potentially could happen. And it sucks because there's not much that you can do about it except file a reconsideration or reinstatement request and wait until Google finally gets around to looking at it, and hopefully they'll reinstate it. It took several weeks for one of my clients that got suspended for no apparent reason, and it took like 3 weeks. So I'm just saying, just be careful with that. As far as ranking organically, again, I'm not saying you can't do that. What I'm saying is that it's difficult to do, and it can be depending on the area. Like what we were just talking about in the previous question for Gordon, was if it's a lower competition area, you can generally get fairly good organic ranking results without a whole lot of work. It's the more competitive areas that are going to take a little bit of time, and the site itself is going to have to accrue some authority typically before you're able to get any significant traction in organic rankings for that. But it can be done, and it can be done with really good on-page like site structure, number one, an on-page SEO. You can significantly shortcut the time that it takes and the effort that it takes to rank organically if you have proper site structure and proper on-page SEO, right? And there's something that we talk about a lot. The best on-page site structure and on-page SEO training that we are aware of, and all of my partners will agree, is Jeffrey Smith's SEO Bootcamp, which you can get at semanticmastery.com/SEO Bootcamp for half price. And I'm only saying that because it really is hands down the best on-page training we've ever seen. Jeffrey Smith, what he's able to do with just on-page and the way that he structures his sites is absolutely incredible. He can outrank authoritative sites with little to no backlinks at all because of the way that he structures the sites. Now, it's a lengthy process to set up sites that way. Once you learn how to do it, you can streamline it. But it's something that I would recommend doing. So, have I gone to all my clients and said, no, I can't offer you SEO services anymore? No, it's not that at all. But what I have found recently, especially, is to offer a more holistic approach, like a more overarching marketing approach than just SEO, right? And guys, we've talked about, it should be common knowledge now that you don't want to put all of your eggs in one basket, right? So you don't want to rely entirely on Google for leads. So you're better off, in my opinion, right now offering SEO. Yes, and organic SEO is certainly something that you can offer, but you also want to work into it, if possible, as a marketing consultant or professional, right? You want to be able to provide additional services that are going to help the business, whether you do them yourself, I don't recommend, or you build a team that does them for you, or you outsource them to third-party vendors. You can still provide these and kind of manage the work, like act as the conductor, right, of all of the different pieces that you're managing for a marketing campaign for a business, which could be SEO, content marketing, which is really part of SEO anyways, inbound PR, right? So that's like getting public relations work out there. That includes press releases, interviews, articles written, like, not like spammy SEO articles, but like, news articles written, which again can be press releases, but getting maybe, interviews done on podcasts, things like that. Those are all considered inbound PR. PPC, absolutely, pay per click. remarketing, right? Video stuff, all these things, that direct mail, believe it or not, I started doing direct mail for one of my newer businesses. I've been doing a lot of it in the last couple of months, actually. And direct mail, believe it or not, has a significant effect on your digital presence, which I never would have put those two together over the last several years, because I've been entirely a digital marketer for many years now. But now I'm seeing the actual benefits of being able to provide or incorporate direct mail in other types of online, or excuse me, offline marketing into an overall marketing campaign, because it will have an effect through what we call social engineering on an online presence. Because if people see a brand name outside of digital, right, outside of Google, for example, if they see it on in direct mail, or if they see it on maybe published in places that they're reading in around their local town or something, they may go to Google. It's likely that they'll go to Google and search for that brand name. And that is a huge ranking signal, guys. That's called a navigational search query. A brand search is a huge SEO signal, right? Because it signifies that the brand is popular or is gaining popularity. And so Google loves that and will actually start to give or promote a brand in the search results, because people are going and searching for that brand name. And so it's very interesting. But what I'm saying is, instead of just focusing like on SEO, for example, try to think of more of a holistic approach. And that's part of what what I'm going to be talking about at POFU Live this year is about how I'm seeing in one of my own businesses now, how having a more holistic approach, as I call it, to marketing has an effect all across the board, including digital and SEO for that matter. So what do you guys say?
Mm-hmm. I love that. I actually love that. Actually, if you're running radio ads, like who the fuck listens to radio, right? But if you're running radio ads, that can also help your digital presence, because it's the same thing, right? And then if you're doing remarketing, the reality is that I think that I mentioned that on last Hump Day Hangout, the fact that people need more and more touching points to make a transaction, right? And the touching points are all over the place. They're not only on their computer, but they're also on their mobile phones, and they're on their email and on social media, and then on Google and search engines, and then banners. And so it's like, the more holistic you can be for your client, you become a local marketing expert, not a local SEO expert, right? It's like saying, well, I'm a local Facebook ads guy. Well, what happens if Facebook changes the rule of engagement, right? You're fucked. So I definitely do agree with Bradley in terms of being more holistic, because that will not only give you more ease in terms of how you can approach a project and give the guy results, but also it will make you more valuable, which translates into that you can charge more money, because you're giving much more value to the businesses that you're working with. So the more toolbox you can dominate and master, and you can have on your tool belt, the better. It's like, you become a more well-rounded marketer or expert in the field, so you can effectively charge more money at the end of the day. So that's pretty cool.
Everything in our battle plan still applies, whether local or non-local. It's just a matter of how you apply it. Syndication networks, as far as your entity, your RYS plus drive stack, then your press releases, then embeds, and then link runs, link building into embeds and press releases, drive stack plus gsite. The drive stack plus gsite being your SEO shield and your filter and your power up to whatever it is that you're doing. Wherever that juice is going, it goes through that drive stack and that gsite to amplify the power. I mean, and guys, come on. 2 years ago, we haven't done anything to DC Plumber, and it's still right there dominating the 3-pack. So
no, that doesn't work.
How much more needs to be said? SEO, SEO Virginia's in 4 years.
Boom.
It doesn't work, dude.
That was
stop showing that
right there. May 16th, 2015 is when I did it, and you can see it's still boom. So and many versions of that, like SEO agency, and same thing. My budget was 5 hours of time. That was it. Like, there was no money put into that at all. It was 5 hours of my time to put that, and it's ugly. It's awful, because it was the very first drive stack I ever built, which I don't build them now. Look, it's even got a broken iframe from a Google Plus post that used to be there. and it's not work, you know, and it's a shitty spun content. I mean, it's awful, guys, but it's still ranked number 1. And it's, you know, all the other SEO agencies in Virginia are below it and have been for
and
what?
you have like 3 or 4 spots in there, because you have the bradleybanner.wordpress.com, which is, you know, syndication networks do not work as well.
URL.
And then the Bamboo Market. Yeah, I'm having the same thing, and I'm on a different IP. So
And what's crazy is this site, guys, is a 1-page site. There's no blog on this. There's really no content on this site. It's just a 1-page site, and it's benefited from the authority from the Drive stack, and that's basically it. So again, it's, you know, you can that. And if you were to look at my SEO metrics on any of these, you'll see that they all suck according to third-party metrics. But the proof is in the results, guys. You know. So, all right, moving on, because we're gonna run out of time here, and there's just a couple other questions I'd like to get to, hopefully. Okay, so the next one is Sky Blue says, I'm finding it easy to rank videos on YouTube with CTR software and producing high quality videos, but I've been struggling for the past year to rank YouTube videos in Google search. I've used RYS Stacks, embed networks, and other link building tools, which normally would have got my videos ranked, but I'm not seeing much of a positive effect using these same strategies in Google anymore. Any tips on what you find currently working for ranking videos in Google? Yes. And I've said this at least a dozen times, if not many times more than that. And we've even done training on it. Again, I can't assume that you've seen all of that, but YouTube or buying real traffic to the video, which you can do through Google Ads, do all of the SEO things that you've been doing. There's no question. Also, make sure you're siloing. Like if you're having a particular video or keyword that you're having a hard time ranking in Google search, again, use the YouTube silo method too, and create, just like you would be trying to rank a web page or for a keyword using a website. You take that broader keyword and then you find supporting type keywords and create additional content with longer tail keywords, and then you create that internal linking structure that links back up to that page, so that each one of those becomes another potential piece of content that you can build links to, and you can push or direct the link equity back up to the top level page, the one that you're trying to rank. Well, you do the same thing with the YouTube silo, right? So do all of those SEO things that you're talking about. Make sure you're also using the YouTube silo structure, which is essentially using playlists. But then also buy real traffic, guys. If you're getting great results using CTR software, click-through rate, what I call CT spam, right? This click-through spam software, or there are also CT spam, groups where, things like that. That's fine. That's great that it's helping you in YouTube. But if you want to rank better on Google, buy direct traffic signals. You can buy relevant and targeted traffic directly from Google, right? From their Google Ads platform. And it works really, really well, especially if you're doing all of the SEO stuff on top of it, right? And by the way, there are some keywords that Google just does not like to rank videos for. Just know that. I know, because there's sometimes I've struggled really hard to get anything to rank, and then once I do get it to rank, it doesn't last on page 1. It gets pushed to page 2 very quickly, and it's just and sometimes you discover those kind of keywords that just don't want to rank videos, or Google doesn't want to rank videos on page 1 for. However, for a lot of this stuff, like I said, if you buy real traffic signals, right, from a targeted and relevant audience, which you can do through Google Ads for very inexpensive, right? So again, if it's local stuff, you can set your geographic targeting to, a radius or within a specific zip code or a specific county, for example. And that way, all of the views that it starts to accrue are from IPs within a specific geographic region, which will help it to rank for a local type of keyword. But it doesn't have to just end at that, right? You can also do audience targeting, or what we found to work really, really well is what they call in-market or life event audience targeting, because those are highly relevant viewers. And Google knows that, guys. If you're buying traffic from a particular interest bucket or audience type bucket from Google, in other words, Google has identified people that are, using Google products that are in market for a particular product or service. Right? That means they are actively seeking that type of product or service. They're doing recent searches. They're consuming content. They're engaging with content and videos and things like that around that particular topic, product, or service. Right? So Google knows that, and it puts them in this bucket that you can access, and you can buy traffic signals from that particular bucket. You can tell Google, okay, look, I want you to show my video to these people because you, Google, are telling me that they're interested in this product and or service. So now when they view that video as an ad, now it's registering as a view from a relevant audience. So as Marco just talked about, ART, activity, relevancy, trust, and authority. Now you're getting 2 of those signals right off the bat. You're getting the activity signal from the view, and you're getting the relevancy because it's from a known audience within Google that Google knows and told you was interested in that product or service or topic, whatever.
Yeah,
right?
we talked about this in way more detail in our mastermind.
Correct.
So, I mean, if you really want to get deep into this, I suggest that you come and join our mastermind, because that's where everything happens. That's where we go really into detail. And plus, you'll get the training, the ads training on top of that. So it's just the place to be is our Semantic Mastery Mastermind.
So we're going to move on, but I would recommend doing that. The click-through spam software in the groups and stuff can help to a degree. But if you really want to get the best results, or if you're in a really competitive type of keyword, then buying real engagement signals from real relevant traffic that can also, by the way, potentially convert. Take whatever conversion action you want them to do. They could become leads or purchasers of a product or whatever the case may be. So it makes sense to do it, and it's very inexpensive to do. You can accomplish it with a small budget. Okay, let's see if we can try to get through the next 2 very quickly. Do you need to be concerned with exact match anchors from gsite, RYS to money site, or should we do exact match anchors? That's for you, Marco.
Yeah, that's a question for our RYS group, isn't it? If you're in there, and it's in the training. Everything that you just asked is in the training. So get it from there, or when you get the done for you done. It's done for you. You don't even have to worry about whether you do exact match anchors or how it's linked.
But what about
it's all done for you?
A done for you drive stack?
How about what?
What about somebody ordering a done for you drive stack? Would you
Then
recommend that they provide us with an exact match?
No, get the deep keyword research. That's what I would recommend. Get the deep keyword research from MGYB, and we will take that, and that's how we push all of the relevance through all of those related keywords that we get, which is thousands of keywords from our deep keyword research.
Okay, last question, guys. It looks like we're going to miss Ernest, but I'd like to get this one. He says, because I know Marco, I knew this would set Marco off. He actually talked about this, and I think it was our mastermind just today, actually. But he says, I got to ask, what is your take on John Mueller from Google stating that Google ignores rel equals nofollow for links? This is confusing and would certainly be contrary to everything website developers and SEOs have been doing for years.
Sorry about that. That's not what he said.
Okay, is that it?
No, that's not what he said. It's misleading, because that's not what he said, and what Search Engine Journal says he said is not what he said. So please pay attention to what the guy said. It's definitely not the case that you have any kind of ranking advantage by marking all outgoing links no follow. That's what he said. And I call bullshit on what he said, because I know for a fact, and it's tested and proven, that sculpting this shit right works. You just have to do it right. How do you do it right? Again, that took place in our mastermind. It's been an ongoing discussion for what? About a month and a half, 2 months maybe, since I revealed that again. What's working before is working now in our mastermind. And I told him, this is how you do it now. Don't do what we used to do. And we went through the whole discussion. Somebody actually took the time to call me on it, and they went and they applied it to one of their websites, something that they're working on, saw immediate results. So I call bullshit on John Mueller. Plain and simple. Tested and proven. Thank you.
All right, we got about a minute. It says, which keyword done for you service should be purchased to be sent in with your RYS order? And that's what you just said, the deep one, correct?
If you want the most effect, if you want to have like everything that's available under the sun and then some, get our deep keyword research, because we go in there for almost 3 days and pull up. Go ahead.
If I can jump on that for just a minute, guys. What's crazy is if you do that, if you get the deep keyword research, spend the money on that, and then use that or submit that with your drive stack order, and we use all those keywords to build out the drive stack. Watch your money site. If you have it connected to Search Console, watch the impression count from, take a screenshot before you order the drive stack, and then after the drive stack, and then, like I said, it takes a few weeks, but what you will see is month over month, you'll see your impressions go for number of keywords that your money site got exposure for will significantly increase month over month. And it's crazy because Google will start to recognize your domain, your site, for a lot of these additional keywords. It's crazy. So, and that's something that I love to do with clients, guys. I take screenshots when I start a new project for clients, or for a new client, for example. And then one of the first things we do is order drive stacks, and then, hammer it with links. But with all the keywords, every single month I can show that their impression counts are going up. And I explain to them that means that their site is being discovered for more and more different keywords, and it's just a great way to get known for a lot. Add that additional relevancy is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, well, it can be overwhelming when you get that spreadsheet with all of those tabs, right? With all of those sheets and all of that information. But we do filter it. We do get rid of the duplicates. We put it into 3 silos for you. You can divide it into however many silos you want, because there are other market level keywords or categories and subcategories that can be applied from that. So it's up to you what you do. But if you just apply those 3 silos as we give them to you, not only to the drive stack, but to the website, and how we show that it should be done, you'll see significant, as Bradley said, you will see significant increases in everything that you're doing, because of all of the relevance that we don't usually add to it.
All right, 5:01. We're a minute behind, but it looks like we got all the questions. So thanks everybody for being here. We will see you guys next week. Thanks, guys.
All right, man.
Bye, everybody.